So do you see this piece that Bill did? This was his example piece.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some textures in it, and there's kind of this texture of the newspaper. You guys might have all different kinds of textures that you want to apply, or photos that you want to apply to the flat images later. So you may want to go into a place like textures.com and grab things like photos of paper, for example. This photo is 1072 by 1600. It's free for logins. So textures.com is an amazing resource. All this stuff is copyright free and also free to use. So you would just do a login. We've got, I like the plaster stuff a lot because it's just very, very textury. I'll show you guys how to kind of use this. So you go and you click bear or any of the other ones. I tend to stay away from something that's really gridded to go for something that's more textured. And I also like things that are quite textured. So like this one has a really nice texture. So I might go and grab this medium one. And you can always see them a little bit larger. So those are the things that you can kind of get. In the example that Bill was showing us, this is actually applied through Photoshop, through different things. But if you're using a texture, you're gonna do sort of a paste into, and I'll show you guys that towards the end of the process. So you can do that, but you can also like look for trees, or if you haven't yet done searches for benchmarks, Maggie was using Pikmin as a benchmark. So Maggie's got this really cool project.
That's cool.
This was her thumbnail, and then let me go back to show you where Maggie is with their SketchUp piece, because it turned out really nice, actually. So this is the kind of mushroom spaceship and the tree, the leaves and kind of flowers. So we're in a tiny little space, and Maggie's got this mushroom spaceship. So that's where Maggie is right now with SketchUp. Our next phase is to move into line work. So let me click on environment. So I can review with you guys your SketchUp stuff, although I looked at it with Adrian the other day, but we can look at thumbnails, whatever you guys need us to look at today. And we are right now doing a refined sketch. That's what's going to be due. I believe it's next week, Wednesday, but let me check the calendar for you. So the refined sketch is due on the 25th. So today's the 18th. And your precise line art is due on the 30th, which is Monday. So too many tabs, right? So refined sketch, this is the scale of the piece. Precisely sketch out your illustration from thumbnail that we identified to go ahead with. It really can be a combination of the thumbnail and the SketchUp file and all the stuff that you've been working on so far. Use layers for rapid scaling and position. Use a hard brush in Photoshop. And I can go over how to do that in a little bit. Oh, Bill still has that date on it. Whoops, what did I just do to Chrome? I hit it. Bear with me a second. There we go. I have to remove that date. Sorry about that. Okay, there we go. And it's really thumbnail and SketchUp. Yeah. So it'd be kind of those two things. Students are kind of combining those two elements to bring them in for Photoshop. Let me view my published site. Bill's got a video tutorial to watch, and it talks about how to create your file and work in Photoshop and create the brush in Photoshop. This is an example file, and you guys can download it. It's got the layers that he's recommending. And just remember that as you work, you're looking to have very kind of a thin line without variegated stroke, so it won't be the Photoshop brush that's the thin to thick. But you can use thin and thick line. You're just not going to have thin too thick in the piece. So to show you guys kind of quickly what that might look like, I'm going to actually share my other screen with you so that you can see. So do you guys see my Photoshop stuff now?
Mm-hmm.
You do? Okay. Put my chat over there. Okay, so I'm actually, this is my iPad that I'm connecting to. So I'm moving it down. So I did this demo earlier, basically. These are this is from my thumbnail, right? And when I had first started my thumbnail, it was like that. And I just turned all of these down in opacity. And then started to work on the line work for the refined line. And I'm gonna hit Command R to hide the ruler. F for full screen, a little bit easier to see maybe. I'm pretty shaky, especially kind of not using my Cintiq. So I would need to really smooth out my lines, and this is not really a refined line. But you can see that I've started using some thick line and some thin line, and just depending on where I want to go. So, and then eventually I'm filling. This is an example of like what we don't want to do. We don't want to have it be kind of a blurry brush or a thin to thick brush. So if I hit B and then I take it to the hard round, this is just in your general brushes, and set that to, I'm going to bracket it down because I think it's actually pretty big. I'm going to hit D for default. That gives me my black and white. That's pretty thick right now. I'm going to make a new layer for line. Hit return, zoom. So basically, you're just, have you guys drawn in Photoshop before?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you're just kind of, that's going to be too thick. So I'm just bracketing down. Just kind of drawing. And I have more smoothing on now, so that's going to help me with my shakiness. But just kind of drawing. If you have hard edges, like this one is, I can click Shift to get, oops, Command Z. Click on that spot and then Shift click and then click. And then, so I'm holding down Shift. So I clicked and then hold down Shift to get to there. So that is a suggestion to, so I'm holding down Shift. So this gives us sort of like lines a little bit similar to what they would be in Illustrator, but there's not a really good way to do the ellipses if I needed to get in there. But basically I'm just kind of drawing it, right? Watch for this stuff, like the things that are not closed. If you can close them now, I'm going to stop my screen share and I'm going to show you guys kind of the goal between the two next assignments. There's There's a refined sketch, which is what we're in here, and you can see that some of these things are not closed lines in his. You may consider even moving forward with precise line art. This is what's due a week and a half from now, making sure that everything is closed or more smooth. Like in my case, I would have to smooth things out quite a bit more. So there's demos on that. So you might want to look at both of those pages for really the goals over the next week and a half. And there's demos for how to do that. Okay. Mm-hmm. So just really recommend you to use your layers. That way the layers will be set up properly like the way that that is. And you can always download this Photoshop file to see it. Okay, so do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, I had a question on the SketchUp project.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of confused on like how to take my project that I'm working on and kind of like put it into SketchUp, like create it in SketchUp, because
Sure.
like some of the models, like I couldn't really find anything that matched what I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know if my computer is just a little bit slower than it ought to be, but a lot of the models would just like crash the entire site, and I
Yeah.
had to like start the whole thing all over again.
Okay.
So I was kind of like, how much do I need to do in SketchUp? And like, is there like an easier way to maybe find what I'm looking for, or?
Mm-hmm. So let me share the screen with you so you can see some other student examples of how little we used it in SketchUp or how much, so you can kind of get a sense of that. So I'm gonna share desktop one. Okay. So if I go to the Google Drive, so Maggie's SketchUp is really actually of the grass. That's what she ended up using instead of the actual hard surface thing. So that's an example of that. Adrian's turned out really sweet. Adrian, did you get my comments yet on?
I didn't look at them. I might
Okay,
have.
because I commented on these earlier today. This is so Adrian, you've got a city and you've got the your walker guide. This is beautiful. The only thing to consider moving forward with is the line. We're taking the line to look like what we're doing today.
Mm-hmm.
But my comment on Canvas was that you might be able to go back in. My lights just flickered, and I was wondering if the world was ending. Interesting times, right? You could go back into SketchUp and get the file to have a better style that you wouldn't have to draw over the lines so much. If you wanted to use SketchUp as your line work. So we'll get back to Adrian's in a little bit, but let's see. Emma's, this is Emma's spaceship with the pagoda. So you could do a combination of the two if you want, or you can have the drawing with the spaceship in it. Let's see, who else has cool examples? That's Caitlin's example, but she looked up a Star Wars spaceship and then she put it into her sketch. So those are some examples. So if your computer is having some difficulties with really being able to use SketchUp, my recommendation is that you really allow yourself to not have to use SketchUp too much, especially if it's like crashing so much, right? So you may be able to find a more simple object though to render out. Like Adrian's was probably a lot to render because there's many buildings, right, Adrian? in your scene.
Mhm.
But sometimes if you just do a simple spaceship, let me see if I can find an example of, because I know that, yes. So let me share the screen. Kai has a pretty simple screen. Do you guys see my screen here? And I'm in Kai. Kai's got a really simple kind of stealth bomber kind of a thing. And so Kai has just exported that, and then Kai could put that into one of the other thumbnails that Kai has.
Mm-hmm. Because the one that I'm planning on going with is kind of like, it's a bit of a different take, so it doesn't really have like a spaceship. It has more of like an egg that's crash landed.
Oh, okay.
It's the egg in the cave one with like the little alien creeping out the front of it.
Do you want me to look at your thumbnails or whatever you're at so that we can see what you're talking about?
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, I'm not entirely sure if I don't think they're going to be in Canvas because I was having the issue with the video.
Or are they in the Google Drive?
They should be, yes.
So do you want us to look at are you guys seeing my Google Drive right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Because there's only really one that I was like really happy with how it turned out, and it was kind of like that one.
Do you want me to look at thumbnails?
Yeah.
Okay. And
so it's gonna be not the first one.
I'll just go through them.
Okay.
That looks nice.
Yeah, I like that one. That one.
This one. Okay, right.
Yeah. So it's kind of like there's like the egg in the background and there's like the little alien crawling out of the front.
Right. Okay, I get this is now an egg. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that when I first looked at it. I think I made some comments on this on Canvas.
Yeah.
Okay.
So trying to find like models that kind of matched anything I was going for was a little more difficult.
Tell me about what this land is. This is what is happening here.
Yeah, so it's kind of like this big cave area.
Okay.
And inside there's like kind of cliffs and like the reverse of stalagmites,
Okay.
I think.
Stalagmites, sure.
Yeah, they're coming up off the ground, and then I wanted to add like some vines and whatnot around it.
Right. Well, I think that yours is very, very organic. And so yours would be an exception where you really just need to look at photo reference and draw it.
Okay.
That's what I would say right now. As long as you did your SketchUp project.
Yeah.
Did you do the Pagoda project?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So you know how to use it. You could use it in the future. That's one of the skill sets I wanted you to learn.
Okay.
But for this image, it's not required for you to do that.
Okay.
You don't have any hard surface. I think that the requirement of the project was to have a hard surface, but what's your major and focus? Are you an illustration major?
No, digital art and design.
You're digital art and design. And what career do you want to go into, Anna?
Like animation, character design, video game design kind of stuff, like the art for it.
It's helpful for you to have an understanding of how to draw some sort of hard surface. So I'm wondering if maybe in the stalactite cave thing, somebody had built a structure of some kind. Maybe it's a little tiny pagoda. Maybe it's you guys are on my desktop right now, right? Is that right? You can see what I'm clicking on?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe you do something as simple as this kind of boat pagoda that's in a river in the cave. Something that is like there's a sense of humanity in the caves somewhere.
Okay.
Just so that you can get some hard surface stuff. Because if it's fully organic, then you're not learning the hard surface stuff that I want you to learn. It's a key to being in our industry is the edged things.
Yeah, it's always helpful to like be able to do backgrounds and stuff too, because like a lot of the time that does end up being more harsh and rigid. with like buildings and stuff. So
Mhm. This would be a great scene for an animation, just straight up, and your idea is fantastic. I just want you to learn a little bit more about the hard surface stuff, Anna, if you could.
Okay, yeah.
If you can get SketchUp to not crash while you're at home, okay?
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the key to it, okay? So just if it keeps crashing, just move forward with this as it is, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, and feel confident that you're not going to be marked down.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Okay. Adrian, do you have any comments on this thumbnail right now for Anna?
I mean, I like the is that like beams of light coming out of it? Like,
Yeah.
I like that. And I can tell you used just the what was it? It's like the form of the last polygon tool for this.
Yeah.
Which I used a little bit of both. So, but I like how you incorporated that into like making everything kind of look rigid. It reminds me of I used to watch the bonus features on The Incredibles all the time, and the way they got like the lighting engineer of that movie to like lay out like how the lighting of each scene would work. They'd like do really simple kind of very geometrical like versions of the scenes that they were going to have in the storyboards. So
Yeah.
it kind of reminds me of that. I recommend checking out that little behind the scenes documentary for that movie if you ever get the chance. It's really cool.
Well, there's this Fluby Newbie site. Let's see, Fluby Newbie. That's Incredibles. This was on one of the assignments that I had you guys do. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember this.
If you keep going down, you'll see all the scene layouts that they did. Let me get.
Yeah.
There's so many storyboards.
I'm really in love with Brad Bird's direction style, so this is like a treat to look through.
Yeah, it's really, there's so much information in here. It's really helpful to see it. I'm trying to find, it's all kind of red and there's a big grid on the screen, right? If you looked through it already.
Yeah.
Adrian, I might be on the wrong page, actually. Yeah, because this is I'm already at the end. Searching. There's 2 pages of this, and I think I just went through the first page. Movie. Search Incredibles. And then this is part 2. See part 1 here. I wonder if this is the one that I didn't click on before. Hard to know. I think this is the one that I usually use. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, there's a few of them that I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Real geometrical.
It keeps clicking me out, but let me see if I can go Command minus. Yeah, your stuff really kind of looks like this. Oh, it's not letting me do it because I'm too big in. So these might be really good references for you to check out.
What's the website called?
I'll copy the link and put it in our chat. It's called Fluby Newbie. So grab that before the chat disappears. So copy that chat thing so that you can get into it. Basically, it's a breakdown of how The Incredibles used lighting and composition in their scene building. Yeah, thanks, Adrian, for bringing that up. That's a fantastic resource.
No problem.
Yeah. Okay. Do you guys have any more questions moving forward with our project and what to do next?
Nope, I think it's been made pretty clear so far.
Okay. So if you have questions, email me those questions. you haven't handed anything in for a particular assignment, the way that I'll know that you're having issues with hand-ins is you'll need to write in the submission comments. I wasn't able to work on this because SketchUp was being really flaky. So Anna, you might want to do that for yourself if that's the situation.
I do have a question about that. So, under like the whole submission thing, like, especially for like the video recording ones, I'm unable to submit a comment unless I have something to submit with it.
Yeah, right. Do I still have something that says video recording?
I know the thumbnail ones was like that, but I haven't checked moving forward. I just wanted to see if there was like a workaround for it.
There absolutely is. So I know that the video stuff is not been working. My switch is really to Zoom at this point to help you guys with video chats and kind of walking through it and to help us to have a sense of community. So I have, I think, removed all of the video requirements. So just send me an email if you see that there's some other assignment that still has that.
Cool.
So, yeah. Okay. Yay. Okay. So good. Adrian, anything you need?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. So you guys are set to connect with me Wednesdays at 2.
Okay.
So you're not required to come in on Monday at 2. But if you need to talk with me on Monday, the time period of our class, Monday, 12:30 to 3:30 is reserved for these students. So I will not have Zoom like open. But you could Zoom with me at any time on Monday during that time. So the same link. So I'm going to click share screen again and go to this desktop. Okay, do you guys see my desktop now?
Mm-hmm.
So the Zoom video conferencing, you guys are in this group Wednesdays at 2. If you need to change that time because you have to work or something, just email me. And more people might end up joining us. These are the people that I'm still looking to have join us. So, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Be well. We'll see you guys later.
All right. Thanks.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.